So what you need to do is you can either select from the list of blocks that are available to you, or like I said, you can close out of this and you can click on the Add Block button and select the one that you want to choose from. I'm not going to go over all the blocks, we just don't have enough time to go over them all, so I'm going to go over some of the most common ones. Let's try the button block. So this is real easy. All you have to do is create a branded button on the website. All you have to do is give it a title, and we're going to call this My Button. And you either paste in or type in an address to point people to. So we're going to go to Google. You're also going to see an open in a new tab option. The reason this is there is because it'll open up the web page in a new tab, but it's also there for accessibility reasons. So by accessibility, I'm talking about making sure that our web pages are accessible to everybody. There are folks out there who have to deal with various handicaps who use what's called a screen reader. Screen reader is a device that will actually, it's a piece of software that will read back all the contents of a web page to the user, and just by what they hear, users are able to make key commands and move and navigate through a website just as somebody who doesn't have to deal with handicaps would. It's a pretty interesting process. I'm going to find and add some links for you on the same page so you can see what it looks like for someone using a screen reader to navigate their web page. When you select on Open a New Tab, if you select Yes, it appends a little bit of text underneath the title of the button that says Opens in a New Tab. This indicates to the user and to the screen reader that if you click on this button, it will open up in a new tab. The reason that's important is when it opens up in a new tab, you can no longer use the back button, and in some cases they may lose some of their navigational elements on the page. It can be very off-putting to someone using a screen reader, so that's why we do that. It's important. So I'm going to save this as a draft. And there we go. We've added a button. Pretty easy. Next element is heading. Click on that. So headings are very important. You would use them just like you would when you're crafting a paper for school. You use them to divide up elements on your page, different elements of content. And the way headings work is they come in various sizes and densities of boldness or color to indicate level of importance. So on the page, your title is actually the H1, the heading 1. It's the most important heading. Then you've got H2, which is the next important, and then you've got H3, H4, H5, and so on and so forth. When you use headings, you want to make sure that you use them in order. So for instance, if your page doesn't have an H3 on it yet, you wouldn't use it. You have to use an H2. And then it's okay to nest multiple H3s underneath an H2, but then when you've got another major heading, you want to make sure that's an H2. You don't want to use them out of order. If you do that, it can be once again, very off-putting to folks using screen readers. Screen readers use headings as navigational waypoints to indicate importance. So if you use them out of order, those users could miss really important stuff on your page. So just use them in order and you can't go wrong. Pretty easy. Other than that, they're almost identical to the paragraph block. They've got similar block controls you can see over here on the right, and that's about it. So we're just going to make a heading. Alright, and then we're going to go over columns. So columns, I just typed it in here in the field here, and I select columns. Columns are a great way to break up content on your page and give it kind of a more magazine-like feel. It's a great way to make things look a little bit more interesting, more interactive, and a little bit more modern instead of just a wall of text. So what you do, you get three options, or you get three columns with several different options to break up the page. We're just going to do a 3-column set up in thirds. And what this does is it gives you 3 areas to add more blocks of content. So in this first one, I'm just going to click the Add Block button that's there, and we're going to select a paragraph, and I'm going to say My Content. And in the next column, I'm going to click the Add Block button, and I'm going to add a button, and I'm just going to leave it at defaults to add a button. And in the third column, I'm going to add another paragraph with still more content. And then what you can do is you can add additional blocks underneath these to kind of stack them on top of each other. So we've got this paragraph block here. I'm going to go to the ellipsis. I'm going to do an insert after. So that gives me another block prompt, and I'm going to add a button there. So you can start to see, here I've got this button block. I'm going to do an insert after there. And I added another paragraph. You can start to see how this can kind of break up the page and give you some interesting layout options. The column block works really well with headings, paragraphs, buttons, and images. So it's a great way to make things look nice. And I'm going to save it as a draft. We're going to talk about images in the next